I was diagnosed with myeloma in September of 2010.
And my first reaction was, of course, probably the same as most patients, like, well, what is that?
I started to feel a fair bit of back pain. I went to see a neurologist and very quickly had an MRI done and had a tumor that was basically destroyed one of my vertebrae in my back.
Obviously, I was in shock. I'd never even heard of it, and now I'm going to die from it in 5 years or maximum? Like, what?
I was very frightened and angry.
Yeah, when you're diagnosed with cancer, it is fairly sobering. Myeloma being a treatable but incurable cancer is even more sobering. You have this cloud hanging over you.
The first drug that I went on, unfortunately, it didn't work for me. You can have a drug that might be the best thing on the shelf, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, so it didn't work for me.
The next turn of events, of course, is thinking about the stem cell transplant, which is a whole different ballgame.
First of all, your stem cells are harvested, put in a freezer and put aside, and then you regain a bit of strength, and there's probably a recovery period of 3 or 4 months. So it is fairly challenging, although it can be fairly successful in some cases. Like I had the stem cell transplant in June, and my recovery was through July, August, September, and then I went back to work in October. So that was kind of my scenario.
I didn't know at the time, but stem cell transplant may not be an option for everybody. So in my case, since I couldn't produce enough stem cells, I was actually not an eligible person for the transplant. So it was very disappointing to me not to have that option. But ultimately, over the next 6 months, we got things turned around between myself and my oncologist. I've now moved on to drug therapy, which seems to be working wonderfully.
When you have a relapse, it's a sobering moment in life because you know you got to do something and you hope that there is something that can be done. When one is first diagnosed, it's a bit of an emotional bang on the brain. Once you get through that phase, then you can start to think about, how do I want to be treated? How do I want to live my life? What options are there?
I would recommend for myeloma patients for sure to look for a support group in their area. It's good for not just for patients but for the caregiver as well. Good source of information, education, help you with understand what's happening with regarding research and so on.
To go to a group and see people, that have had it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and hear all their tremendous good stories. It gives tremendous hope, for sure.
Well, one of the most important things to a patient is to be knowledgeable. The more knowledgeable you are of the treatments, the more you understand your own body, the better.
If I could give any advice to newly diagnosed myeloma patient is to have tremendous hope in the progress that the medical community has made in this disease.
It's all a matter of how you feel and all the people that are around you. Just keep going. And when things aren't good, well, keep going harder. That's all I can think of. Can't do much you can't control. Just keep going. Yes, I have a cancer. Unfortunately, there's no cure, but that doesn't mean I have to walk around with my head down on the ground.
So I was treated in June, and I went back to work full-time in October. So there is life after cancer, there's life after treatment.